Have you ever looked at your lab results and wondered, why is my proteinuria still high even though I'm doing everything right? You're not alone. Millions of people feel that same fear every single day, and most of them don't realize that a silent dietary mistake is pushing them closer to irreversible kidney damage. Because here's the truth, your kidneys don't send you warning texts. They don't scream when they're overwhelmed. They quietly break down until one day your doctor tells you a number you can't take back. But before that happens, I need to tell you something urgent. There is one dietary shift that can cut your proteinuria by up to 30% without changing a single medication. Yet almost every patient I meet has never been told about it. And if you've been unknowingly doing the opposite, it could be accelerating the damage right now today, without pain, without symptoms, without any sign until it's too late. I'm Dr. Johnny, and in this video, I'm going to give you the exact kidney-saving eating plan I use with my own patients. Simple, sustainable, scientifically proven, and powerful enough to protect your kidneys starting today. But before we get into the steps, let me show you why the foods on your plate have more control over your kidney future than any pill ever could. Because once you understand this, everything about your health journey will finally make sense. When I said earlier that your kidneys don't scream when they're in danger, this is exactly where the story begins. Because the truth is, diet isn't just one part of your treatment. It is the lever that determines whether your medications can actually do their job or silently fail behind the scenes. And most patients don't discover this until the damage has already accelerated. I remember a patient named Michael, a 52-year-old truck driver who sat exactly where you are right now, confused, frustrated, asking why his creatinine kept climbing even though he never missed a dose of his medication. When he handed me his food journal, one detail jumped out immediately: more than 5,000 millimoles of sodium every day, hidden in normal foods he thought were harmless. Soups, sauces, frozen meals, deli meats. He wasn't overeating. He wasn't careless. He simply didn't know. And because he didn't know, the inflammation in his kidneys never stopped, no matter how strong his prescription was. This isn't just anecdotal. A 2020 study in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology confirmed that patients who combined proper medication with sodium reduction saw 30% more proteinuria improvement than those relying on medication alone. That's not a small number. That's the difference between stabilizing your kidneys and slowly losing them. So if you've been wondering why your numbers don't change, why the swelling doesn't improve, or why your doctor keeps increasing your medication, this may be the missing piece you've never been told. Because your diet can either unlock the power of your treatment or shut it down completely. But only understanding this isn't enough, because there's an even more dangerous factor hiding inside your daily meals that silently pushes your kidneys toward failure. And most people don't recognize it until it's too late. And once you understand how powerfully diet controls your kidney destiny, the next discovery hits even harder. Sodium, not sugar, not fat, is the silent force driving your proteinuria higher every single day. The problem isn't the salt you sprinkle on your food. It's the sodium already built into nearly everything you eat. I'll never forget the moment a patient named Linda burst into tears in my office. She was a mother of 3, working 2 jobs, trying desperately to eat clean. She avoided salty snacks, never added salt to her meals. Yet her sodium intake was still over 4,200 millimoles per day. Why? Because her healthy choices were loaded with hidden sodium canned soups labeled light, low-calorie frozen meals, store-bought chicken breasts, protein bars, salad dressings, even the whole grain bread she thought was good for her heart. When we added up the sodium on her food labels together, her hands were shaking. She whispered, "Dr. Johnny, I had no idea." And that's exactly the problem. 77% of the sodium Americans consume comes from processed and restaurant foods, not from the salt shaker. It's invisible. It's deceptive. And for your kidneys, it's devastating. Scientifically, here's what high sodium actually does. It raises blood pressure, which directly damages the delicate glomeruli. It makes your medications, ACE inhibitors, SGLT2 inhibitors, far less effective. It increases protein leakage even if your blood pressure is normal. This is why some people feel like their treatment isn't working. It is working. Sodium is simply overpowering it. Now here's the part most people never hear. You don't need to eliminate sodium completely. You need to stay under 2,000 millimoles per day, which is less than 1 teaspoon of salt total. The moment Linda brought her sodium down, even imperfectly, her proteinuria dropped by nearly 28% in 8 weeks. Her medications didn't change. Her lifestyle did. That's how powerful this single adjustment is. But knowing how dangerous sodium is still isn't enough, because the next piece of this puzzle is understanding the actual blueprint of what your kidney-safe plate should look like. And this is where most patients make their biggest mistakes without even realizing it. Now that you understand how sodium hides in places you would never suspect, the next question becomes, what should your plate actually look like if you want to protect your kidneys every single day? And surprisingly, most patients get this wrong. Not because they don't care, but because no one ever explained how a proper kidney-safe plate truly works. This is where clarity finally meets action. A few months ago, I met a patient named Robert, a retired math teacher who believed he was eating perfectly for kidney health. His meals were clean, organic, and beautifully balanced, except for one problem. They were built like a heart-healthy plate, not a kidney-healthy one. Too many starchy vegetables, too much animal protein, not enough low-sodium greens. His intentions were right, but the ratios were silently pushing his proteinuria upward. When we rebuilt his plate together using the kidney-friendly framework, his energy improved, his swelling reduced, and within weeks his numbers reflected the change. So what does a true kidney-safe plate look like? Half of it, 50%, should be non-starchy: vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, peppers, zucchini, leafy greens. These foods support your kidneys with antioxidants, fiber, and naturally low sodium. A quarter, 25%, should be lean, moderate protein: egg whites, chicken breast, tofu, fish. Enough to maintain muscle, but not so much that it overloads the kidneys. And the remaining quarter, 25%, should be whole grains or kidney-safe starches: quinoa, brown rice, oats, or sweet potatoes in appropriate portions. There's science behind this simplicity. Plant-forward plates lower inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce the metabolic stress that leads to glomerular damage. Moderate protein intake around 0, which we a second day, has been shown to significantly reduce proteinuria without compromising muscle strength. A structure like this not only protects your kidneys, but also makes every medication you take more effective. But here's the part that surprises people the most. Many healthy fruits aren't as kidney-friendly as they look. Bananas, oranges, avocados, and dried fruits can overload potassium for certain patients, while apples, berries, grapes, and pineapple keep your levels stable without straining your kidneys. Robert didn't know this either until he experienced the difference firsthand. But of course, building the right plate is only half of the story, because even the perfect meal plan will collapse if you don't understand the hydration mistakes that quietly sabotage your kidneys every single day. And that's where things get even more serious than most people realize. And once your plate is finally working for your kidneys instead of against them, the next silent culprit you must face is something even more basic than food: water. People think hydration is simple: drink when you're thirsty, stop when you're full. But for someone with kidney issues, hydration is a strategic tool that can either protect your filtration system or quietly exhaust it day after day. One of my patients, 61-year-old Margaret, believed she was doing the right thing by limiting her water intake because she didn't want to stress her kidneys. She drank only when she felt dry, and sometimes just a few cups the whole day. Her urine was dark, her blood pressure unstable, and her fatigue worsening. She thought her medications were failing. In reality, her kidneys were simply running a marathon without fuel. When we adjusted her routine, 8 gentle cups of water spread through the day, her energy returned, her swelling decreased, and even her blood pressure stabilized within weeks. Science explains why this happens. As we age, the thirst mechanism becomes unreliable, meaning your body may be dehydrated long before your brain signals thirst. That's why doctors now recommend monitoring urine color rather than relying on thirst. Pale lemonade color means you're in the safe zone. Darker shades warn of dehydration that can thicken the blood, raise creatinine, and force your kidneys into overwork. Even worse, many drinks people rely on, sodas, energy drinks, excessive caffeine, contain sodium, phosphorus, or stimulants that push the kidneys into a state of stress they were never designed to endure. Hydration is not about drinking more. It's about drinking right, slow, steady, consistent, not chugging a whole bottle at once, not going 8 hours without water, Not replacing water with coffee or diet sodas, just gentle, intentional hydration that protects the delicate filters inside you. When Margaret finally understood this, she told me, "I thought water was simple. I didn't realize it was medicine." But even the perfect hydration routine won't save your kidneys if you fall for the next myth, the belief that any balanced diet is safe when you have chronic kidney issues. Because the truth is, two common eating patterns can completely transform your kidney trajectory or accelerate the damage at frightening speed. When you finally understand that hydration is a form of medicine, it becomes clear that your overall eating pattern matters even more than any single food you choose. And this is where many patients make a heartbreaking mistake. They follow diets that are great for the heart, but quietly stressful for the kidneys. The truth is, not every healthy diet is kidney healthy, and the distinction can change your entire future. I still remember working with a woman named Teresa, a 57-year-old nurse who tried everything to stabilize her kidney function. She followed a clean Mediterranean diet, exercised, slept well, and yet her proteinuria refused to improve. When we looked closer, her meals were full of tomatoes, potatoes, beans, whole grains, and citrus fruits. Fantastic foods for heart health, but not always ideal for someone whose kidneys are struggling with potassium or phosphorus balance. Teresa wasn't doing anything wrong. She was simply following the wrong plan for the wrong organ. That's why kidney specialists often recommend modified versions of the DASH or Mediterranean diet, plant-forward, low sodium, and moderate in protein. When adjusted properly, these diets lower inflammation, stabilize blood pressure, nourish the gut microbiome, and support long-term kidney resilience. But the key word here is adjusted, because what works for the average person may overwhelm a kidney patient without warning. Scientific data supports this clearly. Plant-based moderate protein diets reduce glomerular pressure, lower oxidative stress, and significantly improve albuminuria. Meanwhile, excessive animal protein, high potassium produce, and salt-heavy sauces can undo months of progress in just a few meals. Teresa experienced this firsthand. Once we customized her Mediterranean pattern, fewer high-potassium foods, more low-sodium vegetables, and leaner portions of protein, her labs shifted for the first time in years. It wasn't magic, it was precision. But here's where things get truly interesting. Even with the perfect diet, even with the right hydration, many patients still feel stuck because they're relying on supplements that promise healing but deliver very little. And this next part of the story may surprise you even more. Because only knowing which diet helps isn't enough. There's an entire world of supplements people waste money on, and one simple truth that determines which ones are worth it and which ones quietly drain your wallet. And once people understand the diet and hydration foundations, the next question hits almost instantly. "Doctor, what supplements should I take?" It's a fair question, but also a dangerous one, because the supplement world is full of confident promises, clever marketing, and very little truth. And the sad reality is that many kidney patients are spending money on pills that offer hope, but not results. I remember a patient named Ethan, a 49-year-old engineer, who arrived at my office with a bag, literally a full bag of supplements he'd purchased online after reading dozens of miracle claims. Fish oil capsules the size of marbles, high-dose vitamin D, 3 different probiotics, turmeric megadoses, and even powders labeled kidney detox formula. He wasn't naive. He was desperate. He wanted control in a situation that felt uncontrollable. And that desperation is exactly what supplement companies prey on. Here's the truth. The industry doesn't want kidney patients to hear omega-3s are helpful for heart health and inflammation, but studies including a 2016 Cochrane review showed no clear benefit for reducing proteinuria in IgA nephropathy. Vitamin D is essential only if you're deficient. Megadosing does not repair kidneys and can even cause harm. Probiotics are promising, especially strains like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, and one 2022 pilot study showed modest improvement in proteinuria, but the research is still early. Most kidney cleanse supplements are useless at best and dangerous at worst. The truth is, simple supplements are supporting actors, not the star of the show. They can help, but food sodium control and lifestyle are what truly move the needle. When Ethan stopped relying on powders and started focusing on his daily plate, his real tangible choices, his labs began to improve for the first time in over a year. Not because of a pill, but because he finally targeted the root causes. This doesn't mean supplements have no place. It means they must be used smartly, intentionally, and based on real deficiencies, not hope or fear. When chosen correctly, they support your whole body health. When chosen blindly, they drain your bank account and steal your attention from what truly matters. But even this knowledge doesn't complete the picture because there are two daily habits, common, harmless-looking, almost invisible, that are destroying kidneys faster than any supplement could ever help. And these two dangers are far more widespread than most people realize. And once we clear the confusion around supplements, the next truth is even more shocking, because there are two everyday habits that damage kidneys faster than sodium, faster than dehydration, and faster than any wrong diet. Habits so common, so normalized, that people don't even question them until the consequences are already severe. The first is NSAIDs, the painkillers almost every household in America keeps within arm's reach. Ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, naproxen. These medications seem harmless because they're everywhere in backpacks, office drawers, glove compartments. But inside your body, they constrict the very blood vessels that supply your kidneys. They starve the filters of oxygen, reduce blood flow, and create the perfect storm for acute kidney injury. I once treated a 54-year-old contractor named Alex who used ibuprofen daily for joint pain. He thought it was safer than prescription painkillers. 3 months later, his creatinine had doubled. Not because of age, not because of genetics, because of ibuprofen. The second silent killer is smoking. Many patients think it's just a lung problem, but nicotine and toxins in cigarettes attack blood vessels everywhere, including the microscopic ones inside the kidneys. Smoking thickens arteries, raises blood pressure, increases inflammation, and accelerates protein leakage. A large study showed that IgA nephropathy patients who smoke progress to kidney failure 2 to 3 times faster than those who don't. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between staying stable for decades or reaching dialysis far sooner than expected. Just last year, I worked with a patient named Daniel, a gentle man in his early 60s who had smoked since he was a teenager. When he finally quit his energy, improved his blood pressure normalized, and his labs stabilized for the first time in years, he told me, "I wish someone had explained this to me sooner." And that's exactly why I'm telling you now, because understanding these two dangers can change the trajectory of your entire future. But here's where it gets even more important. Quitting NSAIDs and smoking doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness, intention, and support. You don't have to transform overnight. You just need to take the next right step. And yet, even this isn't the full story, because the final truth, the one I'm about to share, may be the single most important mindset shift that determines whether your kidneys decline or finally stabilize for good. And this last insight might surprise you more than anything we've discussed so far. After exposing the two habits that silently accelerate kidney damage, it's time to talk about something far more uplifting, something that brings relief to nearly every patient I work with. Because the truth is, protecting your kidneys doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. And this is where the 80-20 principle becomes your most powerful ally. I once worked with a patient named Sophia, a 45-year-old accountant who tried to follow every kidney-friendly rule with absolute precision. She counted every milligram of sodium, measured every portion, avoided every restaurant meal. But after weeks of trying to be perfect, she broke down in my office, tired, stressed, overwhelmed. Her fear of messing up was harming her mental health more than any food ever could. So I told her something I want to tell you too. You don't need to get it right 100% of the time. You need to get it right most of the time. When you follow your plan 80% of the week, your kidneys feel supported. Your medications work better. Your inflammation stabilizes. And your life becomes sustainable instead of suffocating. Research on long-term behavior change shows that people who strive for perfection fail faster, but those who embrace consistency succeed for life. And that's why my strongest advice isn't to obsess over every detail, but to build habits you can maintain. Cook at home most days. Choose low-sodium options most of the time. Drink water intentionally most hours. Avoid NSAIDs regularly. Progress happens in the everyday choices, not the rare perfect days. Sophia took that message to heart. She relaxed, created a routine she could actually enjoy, and within months her labs improved more than they ever did when she was pushing for perfection. Her glow returned, her confidence grew, And most importantly, she felt human again. But here's the final truth. The one people rarely talk about kidney disease isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's the daily weight of worry, fear, and uncertainty. And unless you understand how your mindset shapes your healing journey, even the best medical plan can feel impossible to follow. Because knowing the science isn't enough. The real transformation happens when you learn how to stay hopeful, motivated, and empowered. And that emotional key is what we're about to unlock next. And once you understand that perfection isn't required, that consistency is enough, a deeper question rises to the surface. How do I stay motivated when this journey feels exhausting? Because kidney disease isn't only about lab numbers or prescriptions. It's about waking up every day with a weight on your chest wondering if you're doing enough or if things will get worse no matter what you try. And this emotional burden is something most people never talk about, even though it shapes every decision you make. I remember a patient named Henry, a quiet 68-year-old grandfather who always smiled politely but carried silent fear in his eyes. He once told me, "Dr. Johnny, I'm not afraid of the treatments. I'm afraid of the uncertainty." He worried about becoming a burden, about losing his independence, about what his future would look like. His fear wasn't physical, it was emotional, and it was draining him more than his condition itself. But everything changed when he discovered something simple yet powerful: connection. He joined an online kidney support group. He began sharing his story, listening to others celebrating their small victories, and realizing he wasn't alone. That sense of belonging shifted everything. He became more consistent with his routine. His stress levels dropped. His motivation grew. And for the first time in years, he felt hopeful instead of afraid. Science backs this up. Studies show that patients who feel supported and optimistic experience better blood pressure control, stronger immune function, and greater adherence to lifestyle changes. In other words, your mindset doesn't just shape your mood, it shapes your medical outcome. When you believe you're capable, when you feel supported, when you replace fear with clarity, your body follows. So if you're watching this and you feel overwhelmed, hear me clearly, you don't have to carry this alone. You have a community here. You have people walking the same road. You have more strength than you realize, and every small step you take matters far more than you think. But even this emotional understanding leads to one final life-changing message that ties everything together and reveals the single most important shift that can determine whether your kidneys decline or begin to stabilize with purpose and hope. If there's one thing I want you to carry with you after watching this, it's this: you are not defined by your lab numbers. Your kidneys are not a sentence. They are a system you can influence every single day with knowledge, intention, and compassion for yourself. Every small step you take, choosing a low-sodium meal, drinking water, mindfully avoiding NSAIDs, staying consistent, brings you closer to stability, to strength, and to a future you can look forward to with confidence rather than fear. And I want you to know something deeply: you're not walking this journey alone. I care about your health, your peace of mind, and your progress. That's why I'm here, week after week, bringing you the latest medical guidance to help you protect your kidneys and understand your body with clarity instead of confusion. So if today's video helped you even just a little, do one thing for yourself: save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need support. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss the newest kidney health strategies, medical updates, and practical steps you can use every single day. Because the more knowledge you have, the more power you gain. And I want you fully equipped to take control of your kidney health, not just hope things get better. And here's the message I want to leave you with. There is always hope. Your kidneys can stabilize. Your numbers can improve. Your life can feel lighter again. And sometimes all it takes is one decision, one shift, one habit, one moment of clarity to change the entire direction of your future. Thank you for being here with me today. Take care of your body, be gentle with your mind, and remember, your best days are not behind you. They're still ahead.